Hello and welcome to All You Need Notes, and this is a paper run through for the Edexcel IGCSE History course on Paper 2 Question A. Paper 2 is the historical investigation paper, so you might be doing the USA for example, or the First World War. This is the question A unique to that one. It doesn't correlate to the one for the next section in paper 2, which is for example China. So what is paper 2 in this course? There are two questions. One is from the historical investigation section that you need to answer, for example the USA, the First World War, and another is from the breadth studies section, for example China, but there are several options for each. Just like paper 1, you get 1 hour and 30 minutes in total. I'd recommend spending about 45 minutes on each question, although sometimes the historical investigation section will take you less than that, so you can devote a bit more time for the breadth studies. You get 3 sub-questions for each of the historical investigation and the breadth study. So question A, question B, question C. I'll be looking at question A for the historical investigation in this video, and the paper is worth 50% of your GCSE, or 60 marks in total. And do bring a pen and highlighters for this, especially for paper 2, as we'll see in question B and question C. Highlighters are absolutely necessary to do well in this. So what's question A? Question A is the key features question. So you're given a choice of 2 topics from the specification, often from completely different areas of it. So in the US, for example, you might get one from the economic boom section and one from the New Deal or the opposition to the New Deal section. It can be absolutely anything, and you have to describe 2 key features about one of them. That's what the question says, key features. This is the only question in the historical investigation section of paper 2 that doesn't require the use of any sources. Question B and C both require you to reference sources, so this is a standalone question, and it's worth 6 marks, so you should spend about 6 to 8 minutes on it. How do you answer it then? Well, you've got the 2 topics, you have a choice of them. First thing to do is to pick which one you want to answer. So the best thing to do is whatever you know best, which have you revised more, which can you recall easiest. Can you suddenly think of 2 key features immediately that you can write about in detail, in which case do that one. If you're confident in both of them, just eeny, meeny, miny, mo, or pick one, do the first one. Just quickly decide which one you want to do. You need to write 2 paragraphs. There's about 3 sentences in each one. It doesn't need to be loads about each key feature, and make sure you write about 2. Even just writing a sentence about each of them will give you 2 marks. It's that easy. So if you can't think of a second one, just write a sentence with a key feature and then maybe briefly describe it, and you could get 2 marks for that paragraph. It's not hard to get good marks on this question. My videos on the USA topic, if you're doing that, will be really helpful if you need 2 key features of everything on the specification. Make sure you clearly signpost each feature at the start of each paragraph. So 1 key feature of the flappers was, and then state it, and then the second paragraph, a second key feature was, just so the examiner can see clearly that you're talking about 2 different ones. A key feature is a really weird term. Essentially, it can be anything. It can be an event or a piece of information just about it. It could also be a cause and effect. They're really, really loose about what it is. Just make sure that they're very, very different. You're not just saying the same thing again. Explain it very, very briefly in that first signposted sentence, and then describe it using any facts and information you can recall about it. And crucially, don't spend too long on this one. This is meant to warm you up for when you have to write a proper essay for question C, and a longer form answer for question B. So there's no need to spend too long on this. They're not looking for very much. This is just you regurgitating facts before you have to deal with the sources for the next 2 questions. So don't spend ages. So here's an example question. It looks just like it does in the actual exam. Describe 2 key features of either the TVA or the WPA. The TVA being the Tennessee Valley Authority and the WPA being the Works Progress Administration, so both parts of the New Deal. This is my example answer. One key feature of the WPA is that it provided work relief for the unemployed as part of the New Deal. It spent $11 billion to employ 8 million Americans in short-term work, providing them with income and experience and helping workers to feed their families during winter. This reduced the number of unemployed Americans. Another key feature was that the WPA invested in a variety of projects. They supplied workers for manual construction projects, e.g. roads, schools, hospitals, and organised training programs for the young. It also helped the arts industry, e.g. writers, and gave women sewing and teaching lessons. So to give you an idea of how my videos can help you, this is the Works Progress Administration slide from that video. So you can see that I've just basically directly copy and pasted that into my answer. All the information is really good. $11 billion, 8 million Americans, part of the Second New Deal, ideas about roads, schools, hospitals. That's all very, very good. And if you know this, it will make this question a breeze. It'll be really, really good. So how do you get full marks in this? This, as you can see, is the level descriptors. So for level 3, or 5 to 6 marks, features of the period are explained, showing good knowledge and understanding of the period studied. And you can also see maximum 3 marks for an answer dealing with only one feature. So you really have got to talk about 2. So here's my top tips for that. Mention 2 key features. Even if it's a really short sentence, you want to be pushing yourself above 3 marks. Build upon the feature with information and facts. So anything you can remember from the videos or from things you've read about or your teacher has told you, make sure you put them in. And this is the important part that differentiates you between level 2 and level 3. So level 3 features of the period are explained, so you're not just quoting random pieces of facts, you're linking them all together. So if you're saying 8 million Americans were employed, then you also need to be saying, and this lowered unemployment figures, which were high during, for example, the Great Depression. So you need to show understanding of the period studied. So the WPA was set up as part of the New Deal. So you should be thinking, why was the New Deal set up? Well, because of low employment levels. So you can mention that in your answer. And then you can also mention that it was part of the Second New Deal. That shows some contextual understanding. That's what they're looking for in this section. So this is the answer I showed you just before on the 2 key features of the Works Progress Administration. So the red here is the signposting. One key feature, the WPA, another key feature, so it's clearly split across 2 paragraphs, and it shows that there's difference between the first key feature and the second key feature, just so the examiner can see that there's 2 things to mark. The green is all the information given about the feature, very, very simply put, and it's not all linked together, but that's normal, that's fine. $11 billion, 8 million Americans, helping them feed their families. Then all your stuff about manual construction projects, organised training programs, help the arts industry. Not everything needs to be figures, but it can be information. That's really important, that you're supplying a lot of things so that the examiner knows that you understand stuff about the period. The blue is the key feature, stated really, really clearly and succinctly at the start. It shows what you're focusing on in each paragraph, and that will immediately earn you a tick. If you do that, you've got 2 marks immediately. So provided work relief for the unemployed, that's my first feature. The second, invested in a variety of projects. There we are, simple as that. They don't have to be complicated, they don't have to be really long. You should be able to put them in a few words or so. The purple, there's not much of this, and it varies between the paragraphs, but this is showing an understanding, and this is basically pushing your mark up into the next mark level descriptor. This is showing an understanding of the period and what was going on at the time, and it's relating the thing that they're asking you to describe with the broader part of the specification. So the WPA, for example, comes as part of the New Deal and under the New Deal section of the specification. So I've mentioned that in the first paragraph, showing that I understand where the WPA came in. The second is knowing that the New Deal was a response to the Great Depression and trying to recover America. So by making them more employable following the Depression, I'm showing I understand that the Depression made lots of people lose their jobs. I could have stated it more clearly, but this is broadly what I'm getting at in the paragraph. The Great Depression caused many people to lose their jobs, and so people wanted to become more employable and gain more skills. So those are important. They don't have to be long. They could be pigeonholed in at the end of each paragraph, but do just make sure you link it to the overall period that you're studying. So a simplified breakdown. State each key feature really, really clearly at the start. That's the thing you just get 1 mark for stating, and then you can worry about your information, your facts in the next 2 sentences. That's the only one that needs to be put first, and that just explains everything that's going on in what you're about to explain. That's a simple thing to do. Make sure you explain it with information and ideas. Relate it to a broader understanding of the period. This is for 5 to 6 marks. So, for example, the WPA was an alphabet agency, part of the New Deal. It was there was also for things like the flappers or cars and manufacturing. You can say that was a sign of the economic boom in the 1920s. So it's all about relating it to when in the specification it was covered. And it does not need to be too long. This is not. It's not like the question B in paper 1, which is the 2 effects question. It doesn't need to be as long as that when you're looking for 8 marks, and you lengthen on about things and how the effect happened, and you need to show information with that. It's similar, but it does not need to be anywhere near as long. It can be much shorter, and it doesn't need to be as packed full of information as question B does in paper 1. So this is another example answer. Describe 2 key features of either the changing position of women or Father Coughlin's social justice campaign. I've chosen the changing position of women. So one feature of the changing position of women was that women had more freedom. Simple key feature. 2 million women joined the workforce, though they were earning less than men, and the 19th Amendment in the 1920 allowed them to vote with the suffragette movement. The divorce rate rose by 7% and the birth rate fell. Fewer women were tying themselves to marriage. So that's all explaining why they have more freedom. So there's all examples of it. And this shows that the previous traditionalist beliefs that women were inferior being changed. So that's relating it to a broader understanding of the period. So saying that traditionalist beliefs were being combated. Another key feature was that some became flappers. Simple. Women challenged traditional social norms by wearing makeup and short skirts, dancing, drinking and smoking in speakeasies. Women flirted with young men without chaperones, and this went against many wishes of older people or explanations. This showed a tension between the modern liberal beliefs of young people and the traditional ones of older people. So there's your broad understanding of the period and this tension between the 2. So my top tips for question A. Make sure you remain calm in the exam. This first question is meant to be a simple one. It gives you a choice for a reason, because they want you to be comfortable in one that you know best. It's not one to trip you up, and it will really get you into the process of writing and warm you up for question B and question C. Think of 2 key features that are completely different to one another. So you can see there, you can't just put women became free and then women got more freedom. That's not 2 different key features. They need to be saying different things. And always put 2, as I've said before. If you can't remember, just try your best. You can get a mark by stating something something very, very simple, as long as it sounds valid. Give any important information you can remember and relate the topic to that period of time. So it was part of the New Deal, Therefore, without employment, was it part of rising social tensions or the economic boom of the 1920s? Was it part of the Great Depression? Those were all the main sections in the USA topic, so do think about that. And don't spend ages deciding which one to do. That's a trap to fall into. If in doubt, just do the first one, or pick between them, but just do what you know best and what you find easiest. And do it first as well. Some people decide to start with question B and then move on to question C and then do question A at the end. Just start with question A. It will get you in the mood for writing. It doesn't matter if everything's not completely eloquent in question A, but in question B and question C, it's important that your writing skills are up to scratch. So it gives you a chance to just remember how to write again as you start the exam. And that was the All You Need Notes paper run through for paper 2 of the Edexcel IGCSE History course. I hope that helped you. If it did, please do comment. And there will be more videos for B and C shortly. Thank you and goodbye.